So nice to connect with you as we drink water together. I'm just warning you, I'm very hyped. I am high vibing today. The vibes are high, and it's my warning to you. That's the way it's going to go. Yep. Good. Looking good with the beard. Okay. Thank you, Mel. Awesome. 9 p.m. in Washington State. You're good? Excellent. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff, my friends. All right. Raz Bird 08. I am currently taking Calm 24. Don't know what that is. Lavender oil pill. Bach Wild Rose. Most importantly, how is it going for you? How's it going for you? Share in the chat section there, guys. I'm all over it today. Yeah, all over it. I'll be all over the chat. Yeah. Excited. Yeah, a lot of self-care. Look at that. Look at that. So Mel's been saying it's self-care time, therefore it's self-love time, and I am worthy of all the time I put into myself. Fantastic. Fantastic. My friends, as I've been sharing with you, okay, it's important when you do, for me, it's important when I do things related to supplements and herbs and these sorts of things that I come from a personal side, personal experience with these things because it's easy. I mean, you could go on Google or you could talk to a herbalist or you could talk to a naturopath or whatever it is, and you can get the download of what these are good for, right? What these supplements are good for, what are they targeted at, these sorts of things. You can get that information very, very easily, right? But today, I want to stay away from that and I want to talk to you from a personal standpoint, okay? I don't want to fill you with information about how it may be helpful for this, for that, for that. I'm more um, interested in anxiety. Okay, I'm interested in the different kinds of anxiety disorders and how these supplements can play a pivotal positive role in helping us, along with the emotional work, the inner work that we're doing, helping us to reach a point where we can say, wow, I am in a different place and I like it. Okay, that's the goal, really, right? So that's where we're going to go today. Okay. Um, That's where we're going to go today. So my 5 favorite supplements for health anxiety, generalized anxiety, panic, OCD. I believe they're very vast subjects. Okay, but let's just say for your nerves, for your emotional state, for your mental state, let's just kind of keep it simple. Okay, for anxiety here. Um, is anybody taking this one? We're going to start with this. We're going to start with very good one. I have also focused on brands. Okay, I've also focused on brands because if you go and look for these supplements, okay, in Walmart, in Superstore, in these big food chains, okay, if you go and get your supplements from there, don't think that they are going to work for you. There's a lot of garbage, there's a lot of crap that's added to the supplement itself. So you have to be very aware. Often, I'm not even sure if they put in the label if what it is what is in the supplement itself. So be very careful as to where you get your supplements. Okay. The first one, we're going to talk about magnesium. Okay. We're going to talk about, I don't even know if you can see that. It's kind of bright. Magnesium. Okay. By the brand Doctor's Best. I've tried a host of different magnesiums. I believe this is one of the best, if not the best. Can I? Can you see that? Okay, that looks a bit better there. Magnesium Doctor's Best. Okay. Magnesium is an essential mineral that plays an important role in the body's stress response. Okay, a very important role in the body's stress response, magnesium. For a long time, for a long period, I was getting my magnesium from Epsom salt baths, which were great, but these are even better. Okay, these are even better. I was taking these 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon. Now, I want to share with you. Yeah, it's tough to see that one, but you know what it is. Okay, take a photo shot if you want. If anybody's currently taking magnesium. Specifically, okay, specifically, what do I believe magnesium is best for? Who is it best for? That's the question, okay? It's best for taming the brain's stress response and taming the sympathetic system. That's what I believe this works best for. Okay, taming the body stress response, because when an imagined or a real threat is present, the amygdala, the hypothalamus, okay, parts of the brain right in the central part of your brain will start to send signals to your adrenal glands. And from there, there's a host of different sensations, symptoms, adrenaline, different hormones that flood your body to prepare for an imminent threat. Okay. And this could be to fight, this could be to flight, or this could be potentially to freeze. Okay. And if it's a freeze response, that's where it gets a little tricky, I believe. Okay. Because when we were kids, the problem was we didn't have the cognition to deal with stress. We didn't have the cognition to deal with moments of overwhelm. So often we went into freeze. Okay. And if you go into freeze, I believe the freeze response, where you've got this conflict between sympathetic and parasympathetic coming together, okay, trying to find balance, and the system feeling like this is a life-threatening moment, right? That's when the freeze response hits. Then time becomes altered. Everything begins to slow down. Comment in the chat section if this has ever been the case for you, where you feel like time has slowed down, right? This is the freeze response. Okay. In the freeze response, your pain tolerance goes up. Okay. And when your pain tolerance goes up, something may be happening, and you may not feel that pain at the same level you would if you were in fight or flight, because you are now in freeze. Okay. So there's some very important things that happen, okay, has happened in our lives. Okay. And I believe if you're in the freeze response, as a kid consistently, then what tends to happen is that turns into somatic memory. Okay. And if it turns into somatic memory, then you're going to feel the sensations and symptoms later on. They're going to compound. Okay. And you're going to feel the heaviness of those original freeze responses as a child or a young person. Okay. And that's what we're dealing with now. We're dealing with trauma replaying itself. We have to understand that. So in order for this not to happen, okay, I would give this 3 to 4 weeks. At least I would give this 3 to 4 weeks, taken consistently. And this is going to tell the brain that what it perceives as being a threat, because so much of anxiety is imagined, right? Is an imagined threat, is this future situational thing that may happen, this panic that we're preparing ourselves for nowadays, right? Magnesium will say, hey, it's not as bad as you think. Okay, so you're going to find with magnesium, or I'm hoping, but this is my own experience, but I'm hoping for you that it's the same experience where magnesium comes in after some time and says, hey, let's not sound the alarm to the body the same way we used to. Okay, because we can now consider the fact that this is no longer a potential imminent threat. Okay, uh, where can you buy it from? Anywhere. Okay, just as I mentioned, please be careful of buying your supplements from those big food chains. Okay, um, any health food store, any organic selling vegetable store, more so the small ones that you find from one community to the next, I would highly recommend that you go in there. Number two, my disclaimer, please, with all these supplements, do your due diligence. Okay, if you're taking medication right now, or you're already on supplements, or depending on your mental state, your emotional state, you may need to back off of these, okay, and to replace them eventually. Okay, so please make sure that you're working with whoever you're working with. If you're taking medication right now, sometimes there can be a mix up when you start taking supplements for your anxiety as well. So be aware. Okay. Absolutely, Tab. Do you believe that eating avocado is a great way to get magnesium? 100%. 100%. And as a sidebar, um, what really made a difference with me as well was zinc. It's not in the top five today, okay, but zinc coming from pumpkin seeds, okay, did a tremendous job of, again, that stress response. Okay, so consider it. Okay, a handful of pumpkin seeds throughout the day, but avocado, 100%, absolutely. And uh, it's always best to get this stuff from food. Okay, the problem is that we just don't really stick to it. When things improve, we tend to go, well, I don't have to eat the avocado anymore. Yeah, a bag of chips are a lot more fun. I'm just gonna go back to that, and then all of a sudden you find yourself in this pickle of like starting over all the time. Like, what's going on? But all you have to do is look at your life when things start improving and say, do I want more of this? And if the answer is yes, then you will continue with these habits, I'm sure. Let's see. Kyle Broche. Hello, Dennis. Hi, my friend. I'm taking your program and finally, slowly seeing progress after years of health, anxiety, and panic attacks. How beautiful is that? Fantastic, my friend. Thank you for sharing. Thank you. I love it. All right. Let's see here. All right. So, magnesium was the first supplement we talked about today. Okay. Um, Great for your nerves, also great for your heart. There's a bag of different benefits that come with magnesium, but of course, depends on the individual. And as well, my friends, make sure that you don't take these supplements thinking that they are just going to heal everything and all your trauma, stored trauma in the somatic body and everything like that is just going to go away. No, it's not. You must approach these supplements with the mindset of saying, hey, I'm doing the inner work. These supplements will complement my inner work as I continue doing the inner work. They will complement what it is I'm doing on the inside, the changes I'm making. Right? Okay, cool. Let's see. Oh, thank you. You really are great at what you do. Well, thank you. Those are kind words. Thank you so much. Maureen Zavelski, I find GABA works unbelievably for anxiety. Thank you for sharing that. And I do take those supplements as well. Excellent shares. I love it. Thank you for sharing in the chat section, my friends. Number two. This is most likely an expected one. Okay, we're talking about, it doesn't matter to me because I'm going by evidence. Okay. Um, we're talking about B complex. Little break. B complex, as you can see from Nature's Plus. Okay. Pure. Pure. Why B complex? Because within B complex, there are a number of different B vitamins that do different things, that have different benefits. Okay, now B complex gives you the ability to cope with stress and anxiety better. So, where do I find B complex being most beneficial? Most beneficial for those people out there that need to regulate their moods. Okay, that's where I find that through my own evidence, along with my own intuition, I believe will work best for people. Okay, so regulating your mood. You wake up and you find that you're irritable, or you're going through the day and things are fluctuating. You kind of up and you're down and you're all over the place emotionally and mentally. You're kind of playing this tug of war. So if you find that your mood is fluctuating, I believe that B complex, okay, especially from Nature's Plus, is going to do a good job, okay, of the mood, regulating the mood. That's where I believe you will find the most benefit with B complex. Comment in the chat section if you are currently on B complex or will be in the future. Again, please consider the fact that if you're currently taking anything, some of these may coincide, they may not. Something may go wrong. So just pay attention, please, and work with the people you're working with. Okay. Um, There is some construction going on the sides here. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but I apologize for the noise if in fact you can hear that now. Ryan Humpert says, "Be alive, royal jelly with B complex." Thank you for sharing. Good stuff. Yep, today we are discussing supplements related to anxiety, and I am giving you um, my experiences with each of these. Okay, number three. Now, okay, we have to talk about this one a little bit, okay, because um, this is one that has gotten some bad rep online and through people's experiences. So let me just tell you right off the bat that this one is a bit hit or miss, and you may not have heard of this one before. Okay, but I've tested this for the last 3 or 4 weeks by itself. Okay. And there have been some tremendous benefits in my own internal state. And I will also share why I believe it's the most beneficial. Okay. What it's most beneficial for. Okay. Uh, we're talking about 5-HTP. Okay. We're talking about 5-HTP, and I actually like this company a lot. It's just Now Company. This is what we find very often here in Bali and Indonesia. The Now Company, um, good stuff. Okay, tremendous neurotransmitter support. Number one from 5-HTP, but again has bad rep. Supports the production of serotonin in the brain and central nervous system. Okay. Now, where do I find the most benefit to taking 5-HTP consistently? Here's where. I believe this supplement will be most beneficial for people experiencing brain fog and scattered thinking. Okay, so brain fog and scattered thinking. I mean, if you think about anxiety, you know, and it's been prevalent, it's been chronic for a number of years. I think you know what I'm talking about when I say brain fog. Okay, and when you talk about brain fog, you're also talking about different neurological issues at the same time, right? You're talking about memory lapses, like what the heck? I just walked in the door, and I don't know why I walked in the door. I put my keys on the desk, and I'm trying to go around, find my keys, or realize it's on the desk like 3 minutes later, right? These sorts of things. You go to the restaurant, comment in the chat if this relates to you. You go to the restaurant, you look at the menu, and you have no idea what to order. So without expending more energy on trying to figure out what to order, you go, hey, honey, you order for me because I just can't do this right now, right? That sort of stuff. So you got scattered thinking, you got brain fog, you got a lot of depersonalization related symptoms and sensations. Um, I believe 5-HTP will do a very good job for you. Okay. Okay. But again, bad rep. Okay. Has a bad rep. I've tested it myself. I'm giving you my personal experience on these anxiety supplements. Take it for what it is. Okay. It will help with those people that are looking for help with their brain fog and scattered thinking. That's where I believe it is most targeted. Okay. Kyle Brush, wow, a friend actually recommended this to me after he tried it after using drugs. Okay. Dennis, how long do you have to stay on these supplements to notice a difference in symptoms and thinking? Now, remember, my answers are going to be quite broad. Okay, but I can only speak from my own experience and in general terms today. Um, I believe you have to give it at least 2 to 3 weeks. Okay. And with these supplements, you have to take them in intervals. Okay. You have to take them in intervals, meaning you don't want to take these supplements for months upon months upon months. Okay. So like let's say you've taken them for a month and a half, right? Regularly, you want to give it some time before you restart them or move on to something else you're deficient in. Okay, that's why you go to the naturopath, you get the tests done, and you find out what you're deficient in and plug that into the anxiety. A lot of people think this is a mental health problem, but we're deficient, right? We're deficient. Anxiety sufferers are deficient. Okay, like you got to understand that the amount of stress and anxiousness we're under, even though we don't have anything consciously to say that's why I'm stressed, right? The body, somatically and psychologically, my friends, the body doesn't know that our traumas are over, right? The body doesn't know that the traumas are over. That's why any fragment in any environment that re-triggers anxiousness will want to survive for as long as possible. That's called the emotional refractory period, right? So we have to understand that even though we don't have things that we're fighting with or dealing with on the outside, Kava, I will talk about that one, Sarah K. We have to understand that anxiety sufferers are not really fighting this imagined threat. We're fighting a very real threat when it comes to our somatic bodies, right? Psychologically, okay? It doesn't believe the trauma is over. So what these do is they give us space. They give us space, right? That little bit of space that says, okay, I'm not as anxious now. I'm not as scatterbrained. I'm not as brain foggied. Okay, as much as the symptoms are overtaking all my focus and energy and attention, I've got a little bit of space here, right? These supplements are giving me that space to be able to add things in between new perceptions, okay, and do some inner work so that long term I can reach my goal. And what's our goal? To let the body know that our traumas are over and to let the body know that we live in a safe world. Okay? That we live in a safe world. That's our goal. Okay? Um, let's see here. Yeah, absolutely. Serotonin syndrome, absolutely. Be careful, as I mentioned multiple times in this live. Please be aware, especially with 5-HTP, if you're on any kind of antidepressants or benzodiazepines, please be aware. Work with your physician um, as you go. Okay. Um, what is brain fog exactly? Are you tired? It's a feeling of being tired but wired. Okay. And brain fog is in terms of feeling, it's a feeling where, if you had clouds in front of you and trying to see things on the outside, you feel like there are some layers preventing you from seeing the truth behind something. Brain fog is also that inability to focus on one thing. Okay, it's like it's a very scattered way of thinking. Okay. If brain fog and concentration issues go hand in hand. So, if you feel like you just can't seem to focus in on one, okay, and you go from one thing to the next, only building on your anxiousness, there's a lot of different sensations that go with brain fog. Okay, but yes, I believe tiredness, because there's a sense of fighting with the symptom, okay, is there as well. A lot of anxiety sufferers that deal with these symptoms um, find that they're just absolutely exhausted by noon, 1 p.m., 2 p.m., because there's so much internal struggle going on, right? I mean, how can you not? How can you not? Like, you know what I can't stand, and I'm gonna be very direct in the next couple of months, just so you guys know again. Okay, I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything. You know what I can't stand is when you go looking for advice on anxiety, and the person across you is trying to do their best to help you, but has never experienced anxiety themselves. I would prefer those people to say, I just don't know, right? I just please just go talk to somebody who's been there, because the symptoms are so prevalent, okay, that the things on the external world become secondary in terms of priority. Okay, the symptoms are so prevalent on the inside, if you suffer from real deep anxiety, that it's very difficult not to have health anxiety, okay, with such sensations and symptoms like lump in the throat, brain fog, depersonalization, dizziness, jelly legs, body zaps, you name it, right? Heart palpitations. I mean, who cares what's happening on the outside, right? Back in the day, I couldn't care. Learn how to calm down. Yeah, I would love to. Okay. But I'm about to, lose it here in the next few moments. So that's difficult. But anyway, that's my little rant. So again, uh, 5-HTP for brain fog and scattered thinking. I believe it's right there. Oh, when I do this, it's less lighty. So there you go. Okay. From the company now, which you can order from Amazon. Um, highly recommend. Highly recommend. Yeah, thank you, Ryan. I had severe health anxiety from previous illness, so it's a battle. PTSD, they tell me. Absolutely, right? The problem with PTSD, people, is that there's not enough cortisol being injected through the body. So they're completely off balance as they go through the day and reliving the traumas physiologically through their body, right? So um, we may need to look at how to balance out the parasympathetic sympathetic system for PTSD people, right? So there's a lack of cortisol there. Hello, sir. Hello, sir. Right back to you. Thank you for joining us on this live. Let's see here. Number four, fourth best supplement. All of these are in the description, guys. Just so you know, all of these are in the description. How do you like the beard? It's growing. Can you tell I've been watching Vikings over and over and over again? Okay, L-theanine. L-theanine. I like L-theanine. Okay, I'm a fan of L-theanine. I'm going to tell you why I'm a fan of L-theanine from the same company now. Oh, tough to see that, but you know what I'm talking about. L-theanine. Krasimir, you like the beard? Okay, cool. Let's see how long it can get. L-theanine you can find in green tea. Okay, L-theanine is in green tea. Now, green tea, depending on the person, may be very beneficial or may be very harmful. Depends on the person and their history and what they're currently taking and their mentality going into the drinking of the green tea. Okay, I believe the placebo effect is very, very prevalent when you're drinking, especially green tea, because during my anxiety disorders, I could not drink a sip of green tea or coffee. And then post anxiety disorders, I could drink, 3 cups and go to sleep just fine. Okay, so you'll find L-theanine in green tea, yes. Um, L-theanine is an amino acid that is proven to have stress relieving and anti-anxiety effects. Okay, proven to have stress relieving and anti-anxiety effects. Dennis, your new identity name for me is now D Love. I like it. I like it. All right. Where were we? Most beneficial. Where do I find L-theanine being the most beneficial? Okay. I believe it's the most beneficial for people looking to reset their circadian rhythms and people that have sleep debt. Okay. That's where I find it to be the most beneficial after using it for about 2.5 weeks myself. Okay. Um, when we talk about resetting your circadian rhythm, we're talking about your sleep wake cycle. Okay, that consistency and the quality of sleep that you're getting. If you and you intuitively know, each and every one of you know, if you have sleep debt. Okay, if you owe your system more restful sleep or not. If that's the case, L-theanine will do a very good job for you taken just prior to sleep. Okay, if you take it in the morning or the afternoon, I find that drowsiness may hit. So if you have to do things that you have to uh, come into with a certain degree of concentration and inspiration, motivation, creative acts, it may not be what you want to take in the morning or afternoon, but in the evening for resetting your circadian rhythm and getting that sleep debt back. Because, hey, I mean, if you're tired and you've got sleep debt, there really isn't too many skill sets out there that will help you. Okay, I believe the sleep part has to be first. Second, I believe, is the diet. They go hand in hand. Okay, we're talking about loneliness as well. If you're spend a lot of time alone and you consider that to be loneliness, that's a problem. Okay, so and anger. So any kind of anger that you may be holding on to from the past, remember, my friends, whatever happened to you wasn't your fault. Period. End of story. Whatever happened to you wasn't your fault. Anxiety today, not your fault. So please, you can take the guilt out of your body, start pulling it out, right? You can shove it to the side because there's no reason for that guilt. It is your responsibility to reverse these trends, though, 100%, but the anxiety is not your fault. Okay. So that's L-theanine. Let's see. I have really horrible nightmares. What do you think I should take before bed? No problem. If it's off topic, it's completely fine, guys. You ask whatever comes to your intuition that you'd like to ask. In terms of supplements, I do believe L-theanine because um, that will help the sleep wake cycle. Number one. Number two, um, image cycling. So, Alisa, before you go to sleep, okay, just prior to sleep, it's probably the last habit that you want to implement before laying your head down, I would go into some image cycling work. Okay, just some reconditioning stuff there, reprogramming stuff just before you sleep. I do have more of an introduction to the image cycling, okay, that you can find on YouTube. Just put image cycling, the anxiety guide. Do that prior to sleep. Okay. If you want to go even deeper in this, okay, I can help you. Send me an email at endtheanxiety@gmail.com. Okay. If you go through any of my programs at theanxietyguy.com, then you will also find the techniques there. But again, L-theanine, image cycling. Okay, those are the two that you want. Don't look for immediate results, but the image cycling will change the frequency that you go to sleep with. Okay, so instead of this irrational fear and unconscious fear and body this and mind that, all geared towards irrational fear and stress, image cycling will stop the process and say, nope, this is what's really true. Okay, so yes, there is a technique for any disturbance. There is a technique for any challenge, internal challenge that you may be facing. So please don't be afraid, don't be shy to ask those questions in the chat. Okay. Is the construction okay? Can you guys hear that at all? Just comment below if you can or not. I mean, it's pretty loud from my perspective, but I can deal with it as long as you can deal with it. Calm the nervous system, Kyle Brosh. Calm the nervous system. Calm the nervous system. I believe a combination of. Are you taking B complex right now? Like we're just talking about supplements, I'm guessing. Um, you hear it, but it's okay. Okay, cool. B complex, L-theanine, and magnesium. If it's too much to absorb from your gut to take these number of supplements, look for them in different ways. For example, the magnesium, um, Epsom salt baths, right? Find an ocean. I know it's cold right now, but find an ocean. Stay in the ocean for about 45 minutes. These are different ways. Okay, but magnesium, L-theanine prior to sleep, Mega B complex, Kyle, that's the direction I would go in terms of calming your nervous system, along with doing the inner work. These, like I said, this is a tag team effort. Does L-theanine make you feel high? It can. I believe it has the potential to make you feel high. Um, kava is like, right. I haven't added that here. Kava is a very potent herb to ingest, to take, and I remember some fun times with kava. I got to be honest with you guys, right? Take that thing, and my tongue would go numb, and all of a sudden I get that high feeling, and it's a tricky one, that one. But again, disclaimer: be aware. Okay? Make sure you don't take these things with antidepressants or benzodiazepines. Make sure you work with your physician. But if we're talking about that high feeling, kava comes to my mind. L-theanine, sort of, but not really. Um, but it has the potential, I believe. Krasimir, you have no idea how thankful I am for all you have done. Oh, thank you. You're an amazing human, and so are you. Thank you for your trust. Let's move on, my friends, to the fifth and final supplement before we dive deep into some more questions. Oh, Kyle, you're going there. We can go anywhere for sure. LOL with that. What's your stance on cannabis status? Sometimes it's perfect, whereas the same dose can send me into full blown panic the next time. Okay. my personal opinion when it comes to cannabis is make sure that you have the proper mindset, you're in the right environment, and you're hearing the right sounds while you're doing it. I believe these play a massive role in having a bad experience or a pleasant experience. Okay, I believe that it can be both. It can be very beneficial, okay, or it can be very harmful in the long run because it can re-trigger past traumas. Okay, so be aware. Okay, okay, my stance on cannabis is it can go both ways. It really can. The same thing with any kind of other, well, it's not a psychedelic, but if you do consider psychedelics, microdosing psychedelics and such, again, for me and psychedelics, I believe that you'll be in a good place and it can be beneficial if you prepare properly. Okay? Don't be going the magic mushroom route at a nightclub, a bar, alone in your home, jittery, thinking, oh, this could be the thing that helps me, and you're doing it but while tippy toeing around it. No. The whole idea behind these ancient herbs and these ancient methods is that you respect them. Okay. If you don't respect the herb, if you don't respect cannabis, if you don't respect the psychedelic, okay, if you don't have a bond, a relationship with these things, then you will not benefit from them. Okay, there's a relationship there that needs to be built. So prior to going that route, you better check in with yourself a few weeks earlier and say, how have I prepared? How have I prepared for, say, microdosing, psilocybin, and such, other psychedelics? How have I prepared myself diet wise? How have I prepared myself mentally? Right. And the key, as is the key with healing anxiety in general, really comes down to you giving in to the whole experience. That really is what it is. Um, you will not benefit from it as long as you try to control the experience. Okay, there is no controlling in this kind of direction. Okay, you go where you are meant to go. Right. Okay, you don't try to control the experience because the moment you try to do that, it will backfire. All right. Finally, final supplement. Okay, and this may be a very one that you didn't think I would share with you. Omega 3s. Omega 3s. Omega 3s. Okay, we have omega 369 here, but more importantly, omega 3s provide powerful anti inflammatory effects, and studies show that it has the potential to be effective for people with anxiety. Okay, omega 3s. That is one of my favorite ones. Let me tell you why. Okay, um, a couple reasons why I think omega 3s is good because yes, it takes care of the inflammation, but where do I believe the inflammation comes from? That nobody will tell you. The inflammation comes from your mental and emotional state. Okay, that's where the inflammation is coming from. So yes, to take care of the inflammation and any other kind of itis, like an epididymitis type of problem, okay, we have to talk about the emotional status that is triggering the inflammation and all the itises that come to you. I mean, you can eat garlic till you're blue in the face, but we have to understand, where does the inflammation truly come from? It comes from your emotional state. Okay, so where do I find the most benefit in terms of omega 3s? It can improve your symptoms. That's where I believe it can really help, since people with mental disorders often have low blood levels of omega 3 fats. So this, I believe, holds most benefit for those that are looking to tame their symptoms. Tame their symptoms. That comes from a very um, sensitized, anxious state. Okay. What is the best time to take these supplements? Now, that's an interesting question. Through my own experience, um, it is best to take these if you're going to take them twofold. You take them in the morning with food, you take them in the evening with food, twofold. For example, magnesium. Um, Let me give an example. I believe magnesium, for example, it will start to benefit you around the 800 milligram uh, area, okay, which demands that you take 4 of these a day, for example, right? So you would take 2 in the morning and 2 at night with food. So my own personal experience is the 800 milligram area for magnesium is that nice point where your body is starting, or your stress response is starting to be tamed. Okay. Um, so morning and evening. Oh, fantastic. So Dennis Delfina says I take magnesium and probiotics at night. Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. Mega B's, I was taking them in the morning. Very beneficial. As I mentioned, L-theanine can make you a little drowsy. So in the evening, also, let me just add that holy basil as well can do a fantastic job for your sleep. I believe holy basil is very, very important if you have insomnia, if you've got intrusive thinking in the evening and it just takes hours for you to sleep. Holy basil is fantastic for that stuff. But again, disclaimer, please be aware if you're taking these. Okay, work with the naturopath, work with the physician. Don't just run to the store and start picking up these supplements, please. Okay. Thank you, Sarah K. Mentions make sure you get the right type of magnesium too. Oxide is not great. Amino acid chelate, much better. There are so many. Do your research. Absolutely. Thank you for that. Cool. So those are my 5 favorite supplements, guys, for anxiety. I love the feedback. I love that there are people out there that are already taking some of these, that are interested in taking them. Fantastic, fantastic. Again, a reminder, it is the combination of doing the inner work and the targeted supplements that will prove to be beneficial. Again, as a sidebar, during my anxiety disorder days, I used to do a lot of IV therapy. I used to do it about weekly, which helped, right? So the things that I was deficient in went directly into my bloodstream, which at the time, being in such a sensitized state, taking these orally really didn't help me during those very dark days. Um, so you may need to consider locally if there is some kind of proven IV therapy. Consider, right? Do your research on it. But that was helpful for me as well. Yes, sir. Okay, awesome. Questions. There's a question here as I scroll a bit related to supplements and my own experience or anything else. Questions on the beard, questions on the bald head, questions on the fashion. Don't consider myself too fashiony, but questions on books. I mean, just name it, guys. We can go anywhere you want. We can go as deep as you want. Hi, Dennis. Tips on reframing a relationship with people situations that involve alcohol. I've had anxiety attacks around drinking alcohol because of the way it resembles an anxiety attack in my stomach. Okay. Uh, don't drink for a while and see where that takes you when you have a drink in a few months. That's one way to go about it. To reframe, there's a couple things you can do. One is, let's say you have your glass of wine with you, okay? Focus on belly breathing, 4 seconds in, 4 seconds out, solely through your nose while you're having a sip of the wine or the preferred drink. Okay. So, what we need to understand is that the breathing patterns can go a long way to releasing trauma from the body. Okay. So, what's interesting here is that when you're in the company of something that you know is related to some traumatic experience from the past, if you're in the environment or the company of that thing while focusing on your breathing pattern and activating the system within you that is connected to the rest and digest, then you can in turn actually reframe your relationship with that thing, in this case, alcohol, or the environment itself. Okay. And this goes for people, anything like that. So, in the present moment, without going into the imagery techniques or the reframing techniques, in the present moment, focus on your breathing, 4 seconds in, 4 seconds out, slowly through your nose, through your diaphragm, as you're having a sip. Not a lot, a sip, 2 sips. You're rebuilding your relationship. You're showing your mind, body, spirit system that the alcohol or the thing that used to be connected to the trauma that you experienced is now over. We're creating a new interpretation here. So that's one way to do it. Okay, that's one way, and that's the one that sticks out for me in your personal journey. Um, Bring the sensations and symptoms with you while you're doing this. It's totally fine. Okay. Finn Hilden. Yeah. So, yeah, that's the direction I would go. Um, I've we got tons of books. What do you want to know? Uh, Krasimir K. What direction do you want to go specifically? Tell me specifically, and I'll try to let you know which book would be most beneficial. But the anxiety guide books are pretty good. Let's go. Little plug. Um, Dennis Tav, yes sir. Did you have dreams when you were in your darker days, and if so, what were they about? I had some dreams, I'll tell you honestly, but I wasn't I didn't have any really good dreams or big nightmarish dreams. I didn't. Fortunately for me, I didn't have to battle with too many dreams. But I do hear that there's some bizarre things can happen, specifically not during the anxiety days so much, but specifically when change starts to be introduced. Right, when you start relaying this message to your system that says, I'm no longer anxiety. I'm actually this peaceful person and I deserve self love and I'm worthy and capable of all the good. You go in that direction, right? Your system will do everything in its power to bring you right back and to give you excuses not to fulfill the change work that you're in. Okay. You got to be aware of the defense mechanisms, and dreams can be that. You introduce change too fast, too hard, right? The system's going to put on the brakes and go, no, 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 no. We're not, no, no, no. We need a history of wins first in order for us to really see you in a different light and see life in a more safe manner, right? So without those history of successes, um, it will not be accepted by the subconscious mind body. I was actually thinking of doing these lives weekly if you guys find benefit in them. Comment, and give this video a like. Give it a nice like if, in fact, you would like to see these weekly. Probably around this time, maybe earlier. Yeah, comment. Give this video a like if you want to see more lives or weekly lives. I tend to update as much as I can in the community on YouTube and update on our Facebook support group sometimes, email. There are different ways you'll get the message. Yes, definitely more lives. Ooh, couple thumbs up. That's nice to see. This one is super helpful. So yes. Okay, great. Yeah. Thank you for sharing your time and wisdom. Oh, you're very welcome. Very welcome. Roger says, I recently dreamt about freedom all around me. How beautiful is that? But could not see anything but white out. How beautiful is that? Felt so awesome. Never dreamt this in my life, and did didn't want. I'm guessing didn't want to wake it. It was such a great feeling. Absolutely, absolutely. And there's a message in that whiteness. There's a message that it wasn't connected to this or that. Right? It's the simplicity of it, and it's the ability for you to trust in the process. That's what I believe that message is. That dream is telling you. Um, Absolutely, prayer plays a massive role. I believe in healing. I believe that it's this sort of anxiety healing is is pretty much supercharged when you have some type of interpretation of God along your side, whether that's you believe your God or nature's God or following some religion or spiritual work or whatever. I believe it can be helpful. That's a whole nother direction in itself, right? Um, okay. Much love, my friend. Thank you, Krasimir. Let's see here. What other questions do we have? Let's see here. My first live, Diane. Okay, great information. I would like more. Okay, well, we'll do our best. We'll do our best then. Any tips, Kyle says, on reframing my job? First of all, just so everybody's familiar with the reframing term, um, when people here talk about reframing, they are a little bit more experienced in my way of reframing. When I talk about reframing, and this is where the majority of my focus and work is with people, so not only anxiety, but psychosomatic stuff, physical illness, where at its core has suppressed emotions connected to it. Okay, well, I like to go into the reframing direction. With reframing, we combine a certain degree of hypnosis combined with imagery processes and sometimes the body, activating the body in order to create the result that we want. So when we talk about reframing, we're talking about utilizing the imagination in a conscious way, hypnosis to some degree, to dig up the things that are causing the disturbances in the mind body that we want to release ourselves from. Okay, so let's get clear on what reframing is first. So, or emotional reframing, you could term it. It's a lot of trauma work, and often, I mean, recently again, when I did trauma work, we were brought to somebody who was still in the womb. Okay, and a lot of people will say, well, that's something that could potentially be, created rather than actually happened. To me, it doesn't matter because this person was in the womb. This person was feeling the emotional state coming from mom. This person had a fall in the womb that has a lot to do with some of the neurological issues that they were experiencing. We went into the womb, we went all the way back to that time period, and we reframed the whole experience while being in the womb. And interestingly, the symptoms started to subside in this person, which was wonderful to see. So there's a lot of physical, especially physical healing that can come from the emotional reframing work that I do with people, mainly one-on-ones. But I'm also going to Europe starting in January, February, March. I'll be in Europe for a few months working through some local workshops and doing some interviews and such. So send me an email, andtheanxiety@gmail.com. So again, going back to this, Kyle, any tips on reframing my job? I'm a full-time drummer. Wow, cool. And I love it. But I've suffered from health anxiety, panic attacks most often while work. And it's very difficult, must be, to calm down in that environment. Kyle, here's my quick piece of advice for you. Don't try to calm down. I know that sounds strange, but without actually going into the conscious reframing work, let's just kind of stick to the present for a second while you're actually drumming and leading up to going to work. Don't try to calm down. A lot of people drink coffee to experience the stress response, and they have that stress response, but they don't interpret it as being stress. So they have the coffee, they feel the stress response, and their interpretation of the stress response is now I can be productive. Now I can use this energy to refocus my attention. I mean, so much of anxiety healing work is reinterpreting the feelings that you're feeling that you've connected to being anxious for so many years. Okay. So, my advice to you is um, this would be in the responding category, right? So, there's reframing and there's the responding. If you've read my books, you will understand the lingo. But in the moment, right, and you're feeling anxious or whatever, I would build on that. I would say, hey, why not experience more of this feeling so that I can put my energy into refocusing my attention on being a better drummer, to be faster, to be more accurate, to do these things. Right now, I would embrace that. It's kind of the same feeling I get when I go play paddle tennis. Right. Recently, I've been addicted to paddle. I don't know if anybody else is, but I can't wait to get to Europe and do some more paddle. But, sometimes there's this like nervousness that I feel going into some matches. Right. And I'll say, great, I love that this is here. I'm going to use that energy to move more and to be more alert and such. So, I believe your interpretation plays a big part in how you deal. Okay, you may start to fall in love with the anxiousness. Number one, um, but I believe that's all you need right now. I don't believe that intuitively. If there are traumas related to drumming from the past, then yes, I would recommend. Well, it's best one on one. I mean, not one on one, but it's best in a group setting or one on one when we do these skill sets, when we like nail it down, right? And we say, everybody, let's go into this state, and people are crying and shaking, and we're releasing that. We're purging it from the body. Purge the trauma from the body. But there, go to the reframing playlist as well, and that will be helpful as well. But there's some advice right there. Um, are you going to Portugal? Maybe. First, we're flying into Barcelona in January. And then we either go west or we go north, pretty much. Possible. Possible. Some friends in Portugal for sure. Thank you so much, Dennis. You're very welcome. I really appreciate the personalized answers after watching you for months now. Well, you're very welcome, Kyle. Okay, I'm glad it's helpful. As long as you gain something or a couple things from this live, then that makes me very happy. Really blessed. I'm blessed to be in front of you. I'm here for you. No other reason. I mean, I really, that's what it is. And if I can entertain you at the same time, then even better. How do you cope with flying to new unknown destinations? Heights, not knowing where you are when traveling. Um, well, there are definitely certain techniques and certain mindsets, Naomi, that can start to help, right? In terms of coping of flying to unknown destinations, a mindset would be, well, what am I looking forward to? I mean, for every four pieces of negative information, you need one piece of positive information, right? So just to even things out. Let me reorganize that a little bit, right? Um, your system will default to finding four pieces of negative information before it finds one piece of positive information, right? And when we talk about information, we're talking about the data that it is constantly scanning within your environment. Okay. So, what that means is that we're all very negative people. Right? We're just all, we are programmed to be negative. Okay. That's what I believe. We are, if we live our lives unconsciously, it's no accident that we see things in threatening ways. Okay. That's why we have the cerebral cortex, right? And that's why we need to become conscious of the things that we've been unconscious around in order to start making changes. So, first change is, guess what? I'm going to a new place. What's great about that? Because it's not so much the flying or the destinations or the heights or the traveling that scares most people, it's the unknown. It's the unknown. Okay. And when we start to make peace with the unknown, when we start to make peace with the unknown, when we start to embrace the uncertainties of the unknown, okay, then we're moving ourselves into a state of balance. If we move ourselves into a physiological state of balance, then the mind will also play a part. Okay, if you're trying to heal your anxiety from mind to body, and you're trying to convince your body that you're safe through your mind, then you'll be stuck in a tug of war for the rest of your life. You have to, and this is probably my most important piece of advice for all of you, based on my experience, in the last 12 years doing this and my own anxiety. You have to get the body involved in your change work. Too many first lines of treatments today are too mentally focused, right? You have to get your body involved in your change work, right? I mean, I don't care if you wake up in the morning and you're going into some kind of a future reframing process and you're driving. Look at my hands, right? 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 Facial expressions, hand movements, breathing patterns, posture, speed of movement. You got to get the body involved, right? So, if anything bothers you, right, and it's bothersome, like the unknown of traveling and such, Naomi, then prior to going to the airport, you watch your speed and you focus on what you're doing with your body and you bring a lot of conscious attention to what your body is doing, right? These will be very helpful. I believe that these sorts of physiological changes have the potential to heal trauma in the body. I do believe that. I've seen it over and over again. There are people that come to me saying, Dennis, I've healed anxiety disorders that, physicians told me I'd have to live with for the rest of my life simply by watching my speed, just by slowing things down, just by slowing the way I eat, the way I walk, the way I drive, the way I talk. Just by doing that, I've been sending different signals to my body, right? And then the alarm from the amygdala, the hypothalamus, and your limbic system, the alarm is no longer triggered. All right, TJ says, interesting, Naomi. To me, flying to new destinations is freeing. So, isn't life interpretation anyway? Isn't all of this interpretation? I mean, think about that for a second. Like, how powerful is that, right? Think about something that you're afraid of right now. And notice how it's never the thing on the outside or the future experience that is the cause of your fear, your anxiousness, right? It's always the interpretation that you have towards those things, right? It's the interpretation, which means, right, because of this thing called neuroplasticity, we have the potential, every single one of us has the potential to turn even the most threatening things into safety. right? I'm going to go there, right? Even someone passing away, even a funeral can be safe. Why do we wear black at funerals? It's the most confusing thing to me for all these years. Why black, right? Why not white? Why are we not celebrating people's lives the way we celebrated Osho's life, for example, right? And one of my mentors, along with other mentors, giving us what they gave us. It's not how long you live, it's how you live. Okay, so these are talking points that I could go into in depth in the future, my friends. But yeah, question everything. Everything is an interpretation. Everything is an interpretation. Roger says, inner child wants us to stay in protective mode always. Do you love words? I'm starting to recall every day. It's safe to let go. Try that. I have been using phrase ever since last week. Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you for that share. And it's important that when we do these lives and the content, that you don't agree right away with what I say, but you kind of, that's the whole building of the conscious awareness again, the mindfulness, is to say, is this true for me? Like, could this potentially be true in my life? Right? All right, let's see what other questions we have here, guys. Dennis is picking up his son in 40 minutes. Got me a new paddle racket. Yes, I did. You know what that means. I just don't know. This could be a new thing, I don't know. Some kind of a more than anxiety teaching moment. There it is. What do you think? Or I come in and I go, it's that time again. I love these, by the way. I don't know why I'm so into historical things. Let's see here. Let's see what we got. Let's see what kind of questions we have. Thanks for joining this live, by the way, my friends. I don't know what time it is where you are. Europe, better. North America, not so good. But this will be up again post video tonight. Please share it with somebody you believe may benefit from it, or a group. Please share. It would mean a lot to me. And give it a like if it helped you. Give it a like if this video helped you in some way. Tawny, Dennis, have you ever done a video? Probably. Or would you do a video that explains your recovery? Yeah, like, was it gradual? Did you wake up one day and it was all gone? And how did you feel when that happened? It's a great question. It's a great question. Oh, Dennis from Vancouver. I'm a Vancouverite myself. That's I can definitely create content or a video explaining kind of the process to my recovery. Yeah, 100%. There's got to be a few videos floating out there that kind of gives a glimpse into it. But to tell you the truth, my healing, my real conscious the feeling of healing didn't really show up till about the 3-month mark. There was a lot of this going on, ups and downs, and giving up on myself and trying a number of things. If you guys have been with me from the start, you know that I had over 60 supplements in my cabinet. I relied on supplements. I mean, it was a constant 24-hour-a-day thing, right? It wasn't just one disorder either. It was very complex. It was like a tree that had multiple branches on it, right? And so it was the OCDs and it was the PTSD, obviously, that I was dealing with, and then the health anxieties and such. It was a mixture of things. About the 3-month mark, I remember driving my car, right? And I was driving my car and I was going to work. This was in Calgary, Alberta. And I remember pulling over. And when I pulled over, I had this like massive epiphany. And I started to like check in with my body and my mind. And I was like, okay, my mind feels really clear right now. And my body is like, there's still some sensations and such there, but it's definitely not even close to what it was during the time where I was really frantic all the time, right? So I remember that moment. I'm never going to forget that moment where I pulled my car aside and I got very emotional in that moment, like so emotional, like, oh my God, like, am I actually, is this possible? Like, can I actually leave this dark, dark place that I've been living in for years, right? Is this possible? And I pulled my car over and I was late to work. And in that moment, I didn't even really care. Like, it was just this freeing feeling, you know? And it was wonderful. It really was. And, but that was a result of some deep work. It really was. And one of the things that helped me the most from my mentors, by proxy mentors, such as Stephen Parkhill, his Answer Cancer book was huge for me. It opened up a lot of new insights for me. Guys like Brent Baum, um, fantastic. These are my original mentors, John Sarno, and these are people that deal with somatic issues with at the core is suppressed emotions, right? So yeah, those let's see here. Those were very powerful mentors, and that was a moment. That really was an amazing moment that I'll never forget. But it was gradual. It was gradual, and I did have my epiphanies. Yeah, and I don't know if any of you have gotten to that point yet where you are really, you have one of those moments, those emotional moments. Let me know if you did. I experienced that moment, Kyle says, like you in your car once or twice over the last couple of weeks. It isn't constant, but I feel like I'm spending more time in that state than a panicked one slowly. That's great. That's really fantastic. I'm so blessed to hear that because I know what it's like. I really do. Roger, with all your mentor's wisdom, you are my mentor from beginning to end. Oh, thank you. Wonderful. But as far as those moments go, I mean, they are few and far between in the beginning, the real beginning of the journey. But one of the things that really helped me was to leave a place of doership. You know, doership is a term that one of my other mentors coined. Um, and doership is, you know, fighting for result, is hoping that change show up, is doing something and then hoping the anxiety goes away. You know, that doership, that forcefulness, right? So I left that place of forcefulness, and I really got to a place where I said, "Hey, life, you know, when the time is right, bring me towards a place where I can really sense that my healing is here." Like, just, you know, that letting go, you know, and devaluing worry, which was huge for me. You know, there was a time in my life where I said, worry is who I am, and worry is one of my strengths. And the more I worry, the better problem solver I am. And I actually attached worry to intelligence. I don't know if anybody has done that. So the less worry I had, you know, the worse father I was back in those days. That was the connection, right? So worry was held up on a pedestal for many, many years until I got to a place where I realized that I was BSing myself all the time. I was lying to myself constantly, right? So all the habits that I had when my anxiety was prevalent, you know, I started to see through those, and I started to attach different meanings to them. right? Like I have to be stressed to some extent. I have to worry it to some extent. I have to hope for change because that's what my parents did. I could never do this thing on my own. All these stupid ideas that came from one person's interpretation that I made my own. We're really just mirrors of our authority figures if you think about it. A lot of people say, no, it's not me. But the truth is, to a large extent, it is. Tani says, thank you, Dennis. I'm doing brain retraining neuroplasticity. Okay, how so? I'm curious. Used to have about 50 symptoms down to about 9. So it's gradual for me too, but I just wondered what it's like when you realize freedom. Yes. It's not like a celebration. At least for me, it wasn't a celebration, right? But you do sense that things are happening, like change is happening, right? And it's deserved. Like in that very moment, if you feel like it's undeserved and you just have so much more work to do, then that's a defense mechanism from your inner child trying to pull you back, right? You got to really be aware of what thoughts are yours and what thoughts are coming from your subconscious mind. Which ideas are really yours and which ones are trying to pull you back into a familiar state of suffering, right? The addiction to suffering is a very real phenomenon, just so you know. That's a thing, right? The addiction to suffering is a thing. Uh, you got helicopter parents, right? And when you see helicopter parents, the moment I see asthma in a child, I'll go to a smothering parent, 100%. And more often than not, my connections are dead on with that, right? So the smothering parent creating asthma in the child, these are patterns, right? Um, more consistent patterns. Um, I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, freedom is nice. I've been more emotional lately, Roger says. Roger Muniz, crying spells, but feel awesome due to starting to let go as I can. But you shouldn't cry because you're a man. Men don't cry. Man up. Which are the very words that keep us stuck. Yeah. Yeah. Which are the very words that keep us stuck. Crying, not so much in a victim like state, but more so crying as a purging effect to something that you realized, right? A moment of clarity, an aha moment, or crying as a result of some kind of an emotional reframing process or trauma work or inner child work. That kind of crying, for me, is one of the best ways to purge the trauma out of the body. Crying. I do believe that to be the case now. Mhm. Yeah. It shows that you're absorbed in what you're doing. It shows that you're ready for the change. And I love it when I see people cry. I really do. Crying is just it's just a thing that you have to allow yourself to do. It is, right? Especially when you have breakthroughs. Especially when you have breakthroughs. Like right now, if you're having a breakthrough and you're getting emotional, great, right? Let's see here. Let's see here. Yes, when Tawny says, when I have a negative thought, I immediately stop it and replace it with a positive one. I do 1 hour of visualization. Wow. Okay. Where I see myself as totally healthy, out doing things. Wow. An hour. Okay. Of reframing work. Good for you. Congrats. I don't know if I could do an hour. And it depends, right? It depends on the person as well. I don't like set rules for certain things. I never like saying that'll never work for you and this will. If you find that you're kind of running into people like this who are in the self-help world, please run, okay? Because you're nothing more than a pawn, and you will be fooled. Okay, so everything has the potential to work for everybody, depending on where they are in their journey towards healing. That's the truth, right? So intuition plays a big part, really does. When you're pulled towards something, there's meaning in that. Okay, so you have to respect that. And a lot of times with anxiety healing, the instincts start to subside, and the intuition, which was so subtle at the beginning, starts to become louder. Most of you, I hope, are understanding the difference between instinct and intuition. That energy or that guidance, okay, becomes very important on the healing journey. And the more you trust the intuition, the faster you'll get to where you need to get to. Sweet Sadie, hey, wow, I have never caught up on a dentist live chat. Here you are. We talked about supplements today, right? Please rewatch the video and give this video a like if in fact it helped you. This will be the post video that I put up for today. I hope it's as good or better, whatever, for our weekly video. Let's see here. Is it weird that sometimes affirmations don't help me? No, it's not. Affirmations don't help most people. Affirmations, uh, most people don't are not doing them right, or are they doing them at the right time, TJ? Okay, affirmations are an ancient practice, and the ancients knew the value of repetition and repeating certain words that we want to manifest in mind, body, and spirit, right? But my advice to you when you're doing affirmations, use the word because. Find one affirmation, okay, that speaks to you. Put the word because after the affirmation and answer it. For example, I am now making tremendous progress over my anxiety because I deserve to be healed. Powerful. And you repeat that in the morning upon waking up, or in the evening when your brainwave state is more so in alpha slash theta, which will actually embed into the subconscious. But remember, any kind of breath work that you do, if you're breathing in certain colors that want to remind the body of safety, such as blues and greens and whites for me, white light, um, you want to make sure that you do at least 48 repetitions. At least 48 repetitions will embed in the subconscious mind. Do not do less. Okay, you can do more, but do not do less than 48. Okay, so if you're going to do affirmations, right, do them with the word because and for a minimum of 48 repetitions. I'm not a real big fan anymore of these, like, all these different affirmations. Like, to each their own. But when you focus on one, add the word because, put it on a card, right? 48 reps. Like one really good affirmation has the potential to heal a multitude of things, right? So we don't really need to say, here I am, I'm getting physically healthy, my anxiety is healing, my diet is improving, I'm making new relationships, a new vibe, attracting my new tribe. You don't need to do all those things, right? Because when you heal one aspect, it's a domino effect. Okay, so there's my 2 cents on that. 48. Roger, where do you post upcoming live chats like this? If you go to theanxietyguy.com and sign up to the newsletter, the weekly Saturday newsletter, it's there. Okay, that's You'll get a newsletter every Saturday morning, PST time. Instagram stories. So go to Instagram, right? I don't know if you're a fan of it or not. I'm torn both ways, but I do connect with people there. I don't spend a lot of time on Instagram, but as reminders, it's really good. At the anxiety guy on Instagram. I'll put it here if you want. Instagram at the anxiety guy. There you go. Oh, FM. We had that question earlier. What do you think of microdose? Yeah. Okay. It's for relaxation and stress relief. Watch the earlier part of the video. But as I mentioned, I'll just quickly mention again, when it comes to microdosing, your preparation is the most important, right? Your preparation. So we're talking diet, we're talking attitude, we're talking intention. Very important. Okay, these are all forms of energy. Okay, and what you put out, you come back in, you bring back in. So you need to put out the right intention. You need to put out, uh, you're eating toxic foods, for example, and then you expect to just, take some kind of psychedelic and for it to help with stress relief. It won't, because you will only build on what you're currently feeling. And if there's toxicity running through your system, then you're going to get more toxicity. Okay, so the preparation phase for me is the most important when it comes to microdosing. Um, and while you're in the microdosing process, sound. Okay, binaural beats can do a good job. If you're listening to certain music like Ajit, fantastic. Any that sort of thing, I believe, can be beneficial in your environment. Okay, beach, great. Beach, great. Forest, fantastic. Make sure that you have someone beside you that's guiding you. All those things are important, right? But if you guys want me to go deep into this, we can have a whole live, which I want to start doing weekly on this, right? So, um, boy, we really opened up the door to microdosing, haven't we? You never know what you're going to get. You never know. Yeah, I can go into more specific details, FM, in regards to this topic in the future. But let's just keep it open right now and say the preparation phase is most important in my books. Okay. And really be honest with yourself, okay? And be very careful. These sorts of things are not to be messed with. Okay, we're not talking about this fun joyride that you're going to get by microdosing, um, these sorts of things. They're very powerful. You have to have respect for them. You have to approach them the right way. Someone who's not in a clear mental and emotional state will not benefit from this, I promise you. Um, let's see here. Tawny says, Dennis, I always find it fascinating that you can talk so much about anxiety after recovering from it without it triggering you. Kudos. Yeah, and that's, Tawny, I believe I got into the anxiety world and the anxiety place to continue to heal my anxiety. That's what I believe. I believe our career choices have a lot to do with what needs to be healed on the inside. Because that's the case, and because I continue to put out so much content and be here for you guys, there may still be aspects within me that need to be healed. I'll be completely honest with you. Do they come out into the open? No, but I believe there's a reason for this, and mostly for me getting into it. But I would never be able to do stuff like this. No chance. Not even, not even the thought of like writing books or doing lives. No chance. Right? But here we are. Guys, I got about 5 minutes here. 5 minutes, and then we will we will part for now. But again, the post video will be up. I'll have it nice and prepared. All the supplements we talked about will be in the description. Okay, just so you know. Let's see here. Dito, just want to say thank you. You're welcome. I think soon I will stop messing around and buy that healing program. Well, if you do remember that the initial investment to my programs is just one part, you have to have the other part. Right? You gotta have that. You gotta have that commitment, and once you suffer enough, it becomes quite easy, right? But sometimes I like to tweak the suffering button a little bit to get people to that place of no return. Like, I've suffered enough. It's time. It's time to do the program, and then they'll commit. Then they'll benefit tremendously from one of my programs. The nice thing about my programs is it's very progressive, so you won't be overwhelmed. You won't be overwhelmed. I've done it in a way where, you know, I, I've approached it in a way where I've considered my darkest days with anxiety, different forms of anxiety, and say, what would I have needed, right, in day one? What would I have needed in day two? What would I have needed in week two and week three and week four? So it's very progressive. It's very honest, all my programs. So take the leap. Take the leap. Oh, sweet Sadie, you're very welcome. You're very welcome, and I'm blessed to be a part of your lives. I really am. I really feel blessed to be a part of your lives, my friends. Thank you. We do need a softer word than anxiety. Yes, I truly agree with you. And unfortunately, with the new generation, anxiety seems to be some kind of a fad in some ways. Like, you see all these memes with "I've got anxiety this and anxiety that," and I'm going, "No, you don't." Right? No, you don't. You don't know what it is. Right? You've never been there. Right? I don't like that. I don't like the memes related to anxiety. Some of them. Right? Some of them are really funny, and hold a lot of truth. Right? But if it gets tossed around, like, we don't realize the impact it has and how difficult it is to go through the anxiety journey. It's very difficult, right? Um, I don't have any respect for those people. I don't. You just can't be tossing the term around loosely, right? I just no. Even the fact that we relate it to just being related to mental health, uh, absolutely not. It's very complex to me. The whole process is complex. Let's see here. Aishwarya Sellis, though I'm halfway through my healing journey, but I still worry about everything within my world and my outside world. Well, what else do I do not to worry about every little thing? Well, there's two directions, right, that I like to promote. One is the reframing direction, and the other is the responding direction, and you need both in my book. Right? The reframing is to clean up the stuff that you're holding in mind, body, and spirit. Right? So if you go to the reframing playlist on my YouTube channel and start doing some of those videos in a peaceful environment, you'll understand. So that's important. But the responding, what you do in the moment of fear, what you do in the moment of feeling symptomatic and such, is also very important. Right? But here's my most important advice. When you're face to face with worry, in the very moment of worrying about something, um, get to a place where you start to devalue and turn down the strength of worry. What that means is something that you have reverted to as being your default to solve problems, which is worry. It's up to us to go, well, if I do continue to worry about this, all it's going to do is bring up more questions, right? Worrying about it doesn't provide answers. It just provides more questions. And the more questions I have, the more anxiety I'm going to have, right? The more anxiety I have, then the more difficult it's going to be logical in order to heal my anxiety. So it's a rapid cycle, right? So honestly, my biggest piece of advice for you and everybody here is when you run into worry, understand that the worry has nothing to do with you. The worry is a defense mechanism keeping you from change. The worry is coming from the part of you that wants to hold on to your anxious identity, right? Because the more your inner child allows you to hang on to your anxious identity, the more possibility that things won't go wrong in the future. Because to your inner child, change means death, and it will do everything in its power to prevent change, even positive change, right? So that's my most important piece of advice to you is to start to see beyond the worry. Absolutely. When we talk about limbic system stuck in trauma loop, absolutely. If we're going to get technical, um, that whole cycle is one that logically becomes very difficult to stop. Right? There are tools and techniques that I do in my one-on-ones, in my programs, and in my workshops that halt the process. But Tawny, you said it, yeah. Um, so it's like, you know what it's like? It's like, oh, worry was what mom did, worry was what dad did. And for some reason, because I love them so much, I have to have a certain degree of worry in my own life, right? And so we've made that connection that's connected to love. How could I ever go against my family, or how could I ever see beyond what my mom or dad did? That sort of approach. Um, Not all the time, but often, right? But worry doesn't have to be a part of your new identity. Worry can be your old identity. In fact, TJ, Ashwarya, Tani, Roger, if those are your real names, you don't have to be. I mean, starting right now, you don't have to be the same person you were 5 minutes ago. Think about that for a second. Why do you have to carry around the same attitudes, the same emotional weight? Well, that one is a bit tricky, but the same attitudes, uh, the same perceptions, the same words you use right every day. It's important to understand that everything that comes with your name, you can start to drop. Everything that comes with your name, you can drop starting today. Now, the how is not important. It's not important to know how to do those. What's really important is that you open up to the idea of dropping the emotional baggage, the mental baggage, and the physiological baggage connected to your name. That's the truth. Okay? Just open yourself up to this idea, right? And the how, more often than not, presents itself in really strange ways. Okay, so screw the name. Right? You're not your name or everything that comes with it. Okay, these are just creative defense mechanisms, right? So bye bye name, right? There it is. On I go. Right? Tell everybody what your new name is. I don't want to be called Dennis anymore. Right? One day I'll reveal to you my new name. One day. Not yet. But it's important to consider these ideas. Let's see here. Roger Muniz says illusions. Hill. Hi, Dennis. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. D-Love in the house. The house. Welcome to YouTube Live. Guys, we are finishing up, though. You are changing lives. Oh, that's so nice of you. Thank you so much for the kind words. You guys are so kind. And of course, I could take a punch if something doesn't make sense. Please, challenge it. But if it doesn't make sense, follow it. I love you all. Thank you for joining me on this YouTube live. We talked about my 5 favorite supplements, which the post video will be up very, very soon on the recent uploads. Do me a favor, give this video a like, and please share it with someone or a group in need. I believe that us as healers, potential healers, all of us can make such a lasting difference. I really do. I love you all. Remember that you are more than anxiety, so much more than anxiety. And I think, actually, I know from from what I see that a lot of people are on the right track. Let's see if you can actually see these. It's a little bit bright where I am. Okay, someone asked me to. Magnesium, Mega B complex, they're all in the description. L-theanine, omega 3, 5-HTP. But please, as I mentioned, disclaimer, do not take these with medication. Please work with your professional prior to going deep dive into these supplements. Love you all. Have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening. I'll see you soon. And if you want more of these YouTube lives, maybe even on a weekly basis, I'd love to come hang out with you and see where it all goes. Then I will put this up on Instagram and make a little vote to see who is available and at what times, and we can do it. Right? So hit up Instagram at The Anxiety Guy. I'll see you guys there. Love you. Love each and every one of you. Keep going. You're right on the right track. Bye, guys.